Welcome. We've come to celebrate the life of Connie. Someone who touched our lives in so many ways. Could we begin with a prayer? Loving God, we come together to not only mourn a passing, but also to celebrate a life. And to celebrate a love that cannot be taken from us until the body we lay down to rest. May our hearts know what our minds cannot fully understand, and that death is but a gateway into the fullness of life everlasting. In this time together, may we be comforted by your presence and through the love we share for one another, through the love we all share for Connie, through the sharing of memories, through the words we will hear. May we know of your presence here, as we know you are with your beloved child Connie, on her soul's journey, of now and forever. Amen. The family has put together a slideshow that we will show now.
When troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. Stormy seas, I am strong when I am on your shoulders. shoulders, you raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
And she did raise all of us up. She truly did. It's been said that our human life is sacred. It is sacred in its being born. It is sacred in its living. And it is sacred in its dying. When a person dies, family and friends gather for many reasons. Life has touched us with a deep grief, and we need one another's support for our own comfort. Just to be together, to look in friends' faces and see the common expression of hurt, takes away the loneliness and draws our hearts together in the blessed healing that men and women can do for one another. At this time, even though we may come from different backgrounds, varying religious traditions, we are brought together in a harmony that transcends all our differences and shows us to come together as we value and honor Connie's life. We are gathered here this morning by death, the end of a life of someone who meant so much to us, Connie Wilson. Though we will mourn, for mourn we must and mourn we should, because to mourn means we have loved. But let this also be a time for remembering the person that Connie was. And let this be a time for affirming the kind of life that she lived. Let this time we have together today be a time for honoring a very special human life, the life that was Connie. How true are the words of Khalil Gibran, who wrote, "When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight." Connie was a delight for so many of us. And we all have our special remembrances of her. Things that touched us that were hers and hers alone. Her ability to speak her mind, her lovely smile, her directness, which is a quality that many of us admire, but not many of us have. She said what she needed to say, but always in the most loving way. You knew what she thought. And what she said really meant something, because it always came from her heart. By our presence here this morning, we pay tribute to the memory of one who was so important, an important part of all of our lives, someone who was dear to us. We are here to show our love and respect for the person that Connie was. And we have come together to show our love and support for Connie's family. Their loss of Connie is sharp and it's deep. We know that. As we sit in the wonder of living and dying, in the mystery of death, we are humbled. In the midst of our sorrow and grief, we feel a river of sacredness. Out of our memories and unending affection, at the same time there flows a thanksgiving for having known Connie, and a thanksgiving to be able to come together today in our gathered concerns and compassion. This is where healing begins. May the gifts of courage, wisdom, and thanksgiving come to each of us and rise among us today. and in the days to come. May we have courage to face Connie's death. May we have wisdom to speak openly and honestly of our loss. May we have thanksgiving for Connie's life and all that she gave to us. Paramahansa Yogananda explained death this way. He said, our real self, the soul, is immortal. We may sleep for a little while in that change called death, but we can never be destroyed. We exist, and that existence is eternal. The wave comes to shore and then goes back to sea. It is not lost. It becomes one with the ocean, or it returns again in the form of another wave. This body had come and it will vanish, but the soul essence within it will never cease to exist. Nothing can terminate that eternal consciousness. As we live our human life, we know that death is inevitable. Most of the time, we can accept death as an abstract principle, a dispassionate fact of life, part of the biological chain of generation begetting generation. But when death becomes personal through someone we have known, respected, and loved, it comes in a variety of guises, and it triggers varying emotions. Our clouds of grief are hammered by disturbing and perhaps conflicting emotions. There is anger, for we do not easily give up those that we love. There is frustrating fantasy. If only this or if only that. There might be guilt too. And we punish ourselves for things left unsaid. Maybe acts of courage and trust that were omitted. These emotions or their like may swell and sweep over us. Do not deny them. Accept them. Try to understand them, for they contain secrets to life's meaning. These words, we will never fill the place which has now been vacated, at least not in the flesh. Against such a void, we can only exert courage and have faith in the knowledge that time does heal and memories do soften the wounds of so great a loss. But in the spirit, that space is not emptied. The force that animates this continuing immortality is love. It is because they loved us and we them that our dead remain an immortal presence. Indeed, we must believe that whatever we have known and loved is ours, that whatever we have loved becomes a part of us, interfused with our lives, blended with mind and memory, and is joined to our souls. The dead are not dead if we have loved them truly, by living our lives that have been touched by them. We give them immortality. They live on through us and all they have taught us. In this death, it may be said that all of you who have lived in Connie's special affection, you have died a little, but because you have been a part of her life, you have also found a richer and a more abundant life for yourself. My hope and prayer for each of you is that you will go on strong in the faith that despite death, life is somehow good, even though we do not understand death's mystery or its way. So in the face of this enormous death, we affirm life. We remember the goodness to be found in living and loving, the goodness to be realized. And through our lives, even though grief presses strongly upon our thoughts and our feelings just now, let us remember the goodness we have experienced through Connie's presence. poet Mary Oliver wrote, "When death comes, when it's all over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world." We can say that of Connie. She did not only visit this world. She lived her life fully. And I think she made a difference to everyone in this room and many more. Widowed in her 30s, left with 3 young children, Connie went back to school. And she got her teaching certificate at a time when this was not the norm for many women. And even when she was no longer in the classroom, it's been said that she was always the teacher. And what she taught those of us who knew her was always from the heart. I came across a story that reminded me of something Connie as teacher would do. A way that she might convey a lesson, something that, because of who she was, she would want us to know. Coincidentally, it's a story about a funeral, and the story goes like this. One day, all the employees of a very unusual company reached their office, and they all saw a big sign on the main door that said, "Yesterday, the person who has been hindering your growth in this company passed away. We invite you to join the funeral in the room that has been prepared in the gym." In the beginning, they all got sad for the death of one of their colleagues. But after a while, they started getting curious to know who was that person who hindered the growth of their colleagues and even the company itself. The excitement in the gym was such that security agents were ordered to control the crowd in the room. The more people reached the coffin, the more the excitement heated up. Everyone thought, who is this person who was hindering my progress? One by one, the intrigued employees got closer to the coffin. When they looked inside it, they suddenly became speechless. They all got to stand near the coffin, and they all ended up shocked and in silence, as if someone had touched the deepest part of their soul. There was a mirror inside the coffin. Everyone who looked inside it could see themselves. There was also a sign next to the mirror that said, "There is only one person who is capable of setting limits to your growth, and it is you." Your life does not change when your boss changes, when your friends change, when your parents change, when your husband or wife changes, when your company changes, when your church changes, when your location changes, when your money changes, when your status changes. Your life changes when you change, when you go beyond your limiting beliefs. Examine yourself. Watch yourself. Don't be afraid of difficulties. Don't be afraid of impossibilities. Don't be afraid of losses. Be a winner. Build yourself and your reality. It's the way you face life itself that makes the difference. I think that was a message that Connie wanted all of us to know about life. That we have a power. That we can do great things, just as she did. Connie was small in stature, but she faced life in a really big way. She meant a lot to so many of us. And now, we might take a moment to gather our individual feelings and our thoughts, to remember the woman that Connie was, how she touched our lives and our lives touched her life, to say within ourselves our private farewell, and to know that the qualities of Connie that you most remember and value, those qualities live on through you. That is one of Connie's legacies to this world. So let us each take our own private moment in silence to remember the gift that Connie gave to you. Connie's son Michael will come up and say a few words.
First of all,
On and off switch.
the switch. First of all, I was sent a couple of things I'd like to read from my one of my cousins over in North Carolina. Hopefully my voice will clear up. Pardon? Oh, there's water. Thank you. So this is from my cousin Cassie. She lives in North Carolina with her husband Alex. Memories of Aunt Connie. As we were growing up, we were all very close family. Most holidays we would have a big dinner at Grandma's and Grandpa's house, and sometimes on Sunday. After dishes were done, we would all sit and listen to the adults play music and sing. Aunt Connie would play the accordion. Uncle Jim played the piano. That was my mom's husband. Mom played the bass, her mom, and her dad played the guitar. My favorite time was at Christmas. The singing of Christmas songs filled the room. Other times after dinner, Grandma, Grandpa, Aunt Connie, Uncle Jim, Mom, and Dad would grab their penny jars and play penny ante poker. The room would be filled with laughter as they played. The smell of all of the baked goods would fill the air. We were very lucky to have the family we had. I remember Aunt Connie and Mom taking us three girls. That would be my sister and her other sister Robin, my sister Jeannie, her sister Robin, and herself. And they all used to go to baton competitions. Aunt Connie loved music. She also loved to sing. Aunt Connie was a very caring person. She was always there for whoever needed her. She never turned anyone away. After I had married Alex and was living in California, Alex and I would get on his 650 Yamaha and travel to Oxnard to visit. The door was always open and food on the table. And my aunt, my mom's sister, who you saw some pictures of earlier, she lives with my oldest cousin out in Tampa, and they're all okay. She dictated this to him, and he sent it to me. Her name was Jean. Is Jean. It was very pleasant growing up with Connie. Connie and Donald, who was their brother, were closer than I was. Don could talk her out of any penny she had. He would take the money and use it to fly model airplanes that he would then crash and burn. I didn't give him my money to do that. Connie and Donald and I played music at the World's Fair in New York in 1938. So you saw those pictures of my uncle had a banjo, my mom was playing the accordion, and she was playing string bass, my aunt. And that combination played at the World's Fair in 1938 in New York. Connie played, so I just told you. Connie played accordion, I should read, huh? I played string bass and Donald played the banjo. We're always doing music together. Connie became an accomplished pianist playing for churches and for the music theater. We loved to climb the big apple and mulberry trees in the orchard that was our backyard in St. Joe, Missouri. As we married and had kids, we would all share our kids. It was almost like one family with 9 kids. Her kids would come to my house, or my kids would go to her house. My 3 youngest were the same age as hers. Many times on Sunday after church, we would meet up at Mom and Dad's house for a big Sunday dinner with all the trimmings. Then out would come the music instruments, and the music would start. The kids would hide behind the couch to be out of the way and listen in. I don't remember that, actually. Holidays were always special. There would be an open house with food laid out, and friends would stop by, eat, talk, share stories, and often bring their music instruments, and the jam would be on. There would be drums, guitar, piano, accordion, string bass, horns, and more. Family was the most important thing. Connie and her husband Jim lived across the street from Mom and Dad's house, and I lived with my husband Sam and family just behind Mom and Dad's house. We're all very close. There was always an open door with Connie. Everyone was welcome. Many friends and family were often there. Connie, I will miss you. So I hope that was going to be a warm-up. So I could get through this without breaking down, but you know, this was a lot easier to write than it is to read and convey. I practiced it. Somebody told me, practice, get through the rough spots, and you'll, that way it'll be all out. Well, we'll see. Oh, this is double space, it's not a lot. Yeah, boy. I'm sure many of you heard her say that. Look, Mom, that hurricane is coming right for Texas. Yeah, boy. Mom, that's great. You're only one number away from the big jackpot. Yeah, boy. You get the idea. Another phrase she used a lot was, don't worry about it. She wanted to make sure I didn't stress over something just because it was affecting her. Going to an appointment, needing to get her car serviced, you know, stuff like that. She just didn't want me to worry about things like that. This is my new little friend. I don't know what his name is, but he was my mom's lucky bingo troll. I looked it up. They actually sell these things with a little t-shirt that says Lucky Bingo Troll. I teased her relentlessly about him, stood him on his head, and hid him from her. She wouldn't play bingo without him, so I adopted him. I'd stand him up if I could for her. Speaking of teasing her, it was easy because she was so good-natured and had a great sense of humor. We had a lot of fun together. Sometimes I would tease her or just say something funny to get the look. Now, anyone who knows her or knows her well knows what I'm talking about. It was usually in good fun, but sometimes you were really in trouble. Looking back, I think she humored me more often than not, gave me the look just because she knew I expected it. But that, in essence, was her, caring more about how I felt than anything else. Over the past few days, people have written comments and expressed verbally to my family and me using various adjectives and phrases that describe the person that she was. So when she said, don't worry about it, she was being unselfish, a word often used. Other descriptions I've heard and read, such a sweet soul, kind, amazing, generous, selfless, adventurous. Like Debbie said, she moved to, oh no, you didn't know, she moved to Albuquerque. You didn't say it. She moved from Albuquerque to Oxnard with 3 young children on a wing and a prayer. Where was I? She was forgiving, an eternal optimist. She had sparkle in her eyes. a heartwarming smile, a wonderful energy of her presence. What a gift just to have known her. I could go on, but we all have things to do this afternoon. So I have two short stories that I will give you an even better idea of my mom's character and personality. The first one is about a year and a half ago. She and I took a trip out to Florida to visit my cousin who was seriously ill. Our morning started pretty early, and when we got to the line to go to security, she was in a wheelchair, mostly for convenience and speed. TSA pulled her off to the side. Okay, so something she had put on her hand, some lotion or something, had set off the alarm. They patted her down, and they took her into a private room. Believe it or not. She was definitely giving them the look. But I think she kept it to herself. Well, after about 15 minutes, she emerged and said, "Let's get going." I asked her what happened. She said, "Well, they were really invasive. But I told them, if invading my privacy kept everyone safe, that's fine with me." The other story is recounting the day she drove herself. This is funny but hard. I mean, this is her all the way. She drove herself to the ER. It was July 27th, a Thursday. My niece Stephanie was visiting. Stephanie lived with my mom. You saw a lot of pictures of her. And her friend Dorothy for several years out in California, and she visited my mom. And the rest of us a couple of times a year. Well, she was visiting at that time. It was our daughter Lindsay's birthday, and they decided to visit Old Town. My mom wasn't feeling well, so she didn't go. Instead, she waited for them to leave and drove herself to the emergency room. Evidently, she was having some chest pains and also pain in her left side. So now I'm going to read to you word for word what she texted to me back and forth. This is amazing. So she wrote me at 2:43 p.m. that Thursday. "I'm in the ER. Don't worry. I just need to find out why my left side and leg hurt. No one knows I'm here. I didn't want to interrupt Lindsay's birthday or Steph's outing. I hope I'm out of here pretty soon. Do not come." I can show you. I'm not making this up. "So far, I don't know anything. I'll keep you informed. If it gets too late, I'll call Lindsay. Love, Mom." So she always ended her text like a letter, and I teased her about that too. Keep in mind, I'm working on some music in my studio at my house, and all of a sudden I got that text. So I replied, "Thanks for the update. Has anybody seen you yet?" And she wrote back, "Yes, but they are taking a bunch of tests and I haven't heard anything." I wrote, "Okay, let me know if you need anything." Well, of course, I was shutting things down and getting ready to go see her. Then shortly, this next one appears. "I just saw the doctor and she says I was having a heart attack. She said I'm over the worst of it, but I need to have a workup. So they don't know what they're going to do. They might send me to the heart hospital. I do need someone to drive my car home. I'm at the Westside Loveless Hospital ER. I'm really sorry, Mom." Just amazing. So, all I can think of, wouldn't it be nice if we could all care just a little more about each other's feelings like she did? So, I actually got through that, I didn't know. I want to say a few words about the time between that afternoon and when she passed away. She ended up having another heart attack and went through an emergency procedure to place multiple stents in her arteries. They lost her on the table, even came out and said we had to decide whether to keep her on life support or let her go. I told them she wouldn't want to live like that, so let her go. Several minutes later, one doctor came out alone and said they kept trying and they were successful in placing the stents. She was fragile, but her heart was beating on its own. Next step was to place a balloon pump in her artery to help the heart pump while it was healing. Very dicey procedure, but they were successful. She spent the next 10 days in the ICU and due to complications lost her right leg during that time. Finally, one by one, the tubes and the catheters and the IVs came out and she was able to communicate. One of the first things she said that we could clearly understand, it was actually to Kelly, "I'm not going to make it." Eventually, we were able to talk back and forth, laugh a little, cry a little. No, cry a lot. Not her, me. She was so unhappy and sad. The sparkle in her eyes was gone. She expressed many times how she didn't want to be a burden to anybody. And as we all know, spending any time in a hospital strips you of your dignity. Her love of life was almost non-existent. She put on a brave face, but I could tell. Her quality of life sucked, and I don't think she saw a future living without a leg and constantly wondering how and when she would die. I think some part of her knew it would be sooner than later. So it goes without saying, I loved her with all my heart, and I'm heartbroken. I feel emptiness and sadness, and I'm pretty sure we all do. The morning after she passed, I wasn't sure the sun would come up. I kept my normal routine so I could get up early and see the sunrise. I had to see it. Now, my mom wasn't that big of a fan of receiving awards and recognition. She was very humble. Educator of the Year was one such award, and I remember going to the ceremony. She was honored, of course, but it wasn't all that important to her. In fact, even though she would be happy that we're all here saying such nice things and honoring her here today, she would be asking, why all the fuss? One of the things she said recently when I would list the people that wanted to talk to her on the phone and all the nice things people were telling me to tell her was, why is everybody saying all those things? There's nothing so special about me. I'm just a regular person. And that's what she told me. I'm not making that up either. But that's my mom. Her joy and satisfaction came from just wanting to do a good job and give her students a good head start on their education, and play the piano for theater rehearsals and shows, and teach her students silly songs. I'm sorry, Mom, they were silly. Now, even though it's not one of the silly ones, shortly after I'm finished here, we're going to be playing one of the songs that she wrote and taught to all of her classroom kids. It's called Believe in Yourself, something she tried to instill in all of her students and family. Bingo! She always startled me when she yelled bingo. Even when I was expecting it. She loved playing bingo. I think everybody knows that. She loved doing crossword puzzles, reading, going to church. Oh, I should have said that first. Going to the theater, playing piano, playing the piano, and she particularly liked going to Broadway musicals. And of course, family. She loved family. These are a few of her favorite things. I wonder who I can talk into going to Broadway musicals with me now. In closing, I would like to ask each one of you, each one of us, to honor my mom's memory by emulating one of her many good qualities: forgiveness, patience, and kindness. Forgive somebody. Be patient with someone. Show kindness, even if it's hard, even if they don't deserve it. That's what she always tried to do. And that's her legacy, finding the good in everyone and being genuine about showing her love for them. It's like we got together on this, didn't we? Every day was a gift. Look, I'm almost done. Every day was a gift, she believed. She lived life like it was her last day on earth. She lived life to the fullest. She lived life.
Now if we could take a moment and listen to the song that Connie wrote. Believe in yourself. once wrote, I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you wake in the morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds and circling flight. I am the soft starlight at night. So do not stand at my grave and cry, I am not there, I did not die. She lives on with those of us who knew her. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, fill our minds, our hearts, and extend from us to bless the world with peace. May we live together in charity, compassion, peace, and joy. In this spirit, let us, individually and together, go forth to live and to love. Amen. All of Connie's life at the home of her granddaughter, Lindsay, where Connie lived her last few years with her grandchildren. Immediately following this service, there will be a lunch, and there are directions to Lindsay's home on the blue table in